Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome back.
Welcome to the Revolutionary Baddies podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being here. I'm your host. I'm Dee Dee.
I am your host, Brittany.
And we are here in 2026, season 2,
in the thick of it.
episode 6. Wow. 6 episodes for this season. Our commitment to our listeners is that, so last season we had 13 episodes.
Right.
Our mission is to double it for season 2.
Yeah. And we were actually going to end season 1 after 8 episodes.
We really were.
Because it was like, okay, we just started this thing and we'll see how it goes. So to already be on episode 6 of season 2 and knowing that this is just really the beginning of the season because we have so much more to go, it's exciting.
Yes.
I'm glad we expanded
yes.
it last time.
Yeah, me too.
For sure.
Know, it was kind of like, let's just try it out.
Yeah, we weren't set on 8, but we were like, okay, let's make it to 8.
You're right.
And then we went further. And now we're going even further.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I mean, this season we have been focusing on what do we need to build a more sustainable revolution? What does the revolution look like? What does it need? What does it need from us individually, collectively? And so we've already journeyed through confronting religion, more so Christian nationalism.
Yes.
In our first episode. And then we went into the radical feminist revolution, which is absolutely necessary.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite episode so far.
Yeah.
So far.
And then we moved into reparations. Okay.
That was a goodie.
We needed.
That was a goodie.
We needed. I'll find a way to just bring that back up in like every conversation now.
Absolutely.
And then we moved into education, which we definitely have to revolutionize. Really, the education episode could have been like 2 or 3 parts because we talked about a lot of the structural issues that we have in education, but we have to also just talk about how much we have to unlearn and relearn, which is in itself, but once again, we got a packed season, so that may resurface.
We got time.
We can do that.
Yeah.
And now we are moving into community.
Yes.
Great topic. We've talked about having this as a topic since season 1. So now it is here.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it. But before we get into it, of course, how we doing? What's going on?
Checking in. I'm doing well. I just finished a really packed and busy week, which for those that don't know, I'm a contractor, which essentially means I get contracted by different social justice organizations to do training or facilitation or, kind of whatever is needed at that moment. And since June, I've been on this contract working for this fellowship program that's all North Carolina based organizers. And I'm one of the co-instructors for the fellowship. And this past week, which we're recording this still in 2025. So welcome to the past. The week was their closing retreat for the fellowship, and so since Sunday to Friday was the closing retreat. So long days, like getting up at basically 7, being ready to meet with my co-instructor by 8:30 a.m. every morning. And then basically staying out late every night, socializing, building community,
being in community,
and just having a good time, both reflecting on their experience, their leadership journey and all the things that they learned in the class that they had to take, but also how are we going to continue to work together and build alignment in this state to change this state. So that's been my week. I got like 12 hours of sleep yesterday once the day was done.
Ooh.
It was so nice. I just sat around in the house and slept and ate food. I didn't order out. I was so happy. So yeah, I'm coming out of that. And then actually tomorrow, I'm facilitating a day-long retreat with a local group of radical Black men. So I'm excited about that as well. So shout out to Leadership for Democracy and Social Justice. And shout out to Black Men Build.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? How you been?
I've been good. Okay, let me think what I got going on. Work, my work isn't worth mentioning. I'll start there.
Why would you say that?
It's not.
Okay.
No, my work is not bad at all.
Uh-huh.
And I actually work in communities. I work in neighborhoods. So I do have a certain lens on what communities look like, i.e. via neighborhoods. But, work was pretty quiet this week. I'm at that point where it's the holidays. Why are we talking about anything? Like on the administrative side, not with the people I love. So work's been chill. I've been really just, up to usual Mamiana stuff. My daughter is about to be out of school starting next Thursday until January 6th.
Wow.
Yeah. So community is really important because I need all aunties and uncles to keep their hands on me, keep prayers with me, and all types of things as I keep my own child over the next holiday season. But I'm really excited about the holidays.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Christmas person in the sense of the traditional, I have to have a tree, I have to have lights.
Yeah.
But I do like to partake mainly through motherhood and going to some type of Christmas event. We went to the Durham Bulls light event recently, and getting ready to do all the cute stuff with my daughter. I try to make it more about the fellowship and less about the normal rituals of it. So I'm not a huge gift person. So I just like to spend time with people. So I'm looking forward to cooking, eating, drinking, being merry. But one thing I can say about this part of adulthood, and y'all can let me know. Please let me know in the comments or in the DMs if y'all feel me. Growing up, I thought the holidays as an adult would look a lot like work parties, Christmas parties, which is, once again, this may come up in the community in this episode for community. And I'm like, it's really an effort to find fellowship around the holidays more and more. Yeah. Now, when I was, I'm about to say single. I'm still single, but when I was not a mother, I would find more things to get into, and there would be more work events that I would typically go to, vendors. If they had a open bar holiday party, I would go to stuff like that because I had the free time to do so. But at this stage, I'm like, yo, where is the really cute Christmas gatherings?
I don't know. I really don't know. There's even less to me connected to work or a job.
Because I would prefer outside of those.
I would absolutely prefer people having holiday parties at their house.
Yes.
And it'd be fun. And put some thought into it. Not just a potluck. Potlucks are cute.
Yeah.
But a real,
thing.
Dancery. But it just don't be, it don't get.
Yeah, I gotta have a powwow with my friends. We've all got to collectively do better. I mean, Dee Dee, you host stuff.
I do.
And that's what we're looking forward to. I'm looking forward to,
But it can't just be me.
I know. Okay, so me and my mom are co-hosting a game night.
Oh, okay.
We decided on that.
Cute. cute.
So
I love that.
We're going to have a game night.
Okay.
2 days before Christmas.
Nice.
And then Christmas is always like a pull-up type of thing. Pull up. So,
right. I'm pulling up.
But, I mean, man, where the niggas at? Also that. You know?
I don't know.
I used to be...
They be with their secret girlfriends.
What?
That's where they...
Lord.
They be with their girlfriends. That's their real girlfriends.
I mean, before y'all put on the pajamas with y'all family, where the fun at? Where is the fun?
Just host something, why don't ya?
Yeah, we need more of those things to once again cultivate community.
Hello.
I'm looking forward to the holidays, but I do think that, I mean, obviously COVID and different things, like I say, we'll get into in the episode, but it just seems like Christmas ain't as popping as it could be.
As it could be.
I mean, it's all right. It's all right. There's things going on.
For sure.
Not enough.
Not to me.
Why aren't these bars having Christmas parties? Do they not know how to get the people in?
No, Queenie's. Oh, shout out to Queenie's.
We are in Queenie's community podcast room recording.
Oh, but yes. I feel like we don't ever.
We need to shout them out more.
We really do. We do. Shout out to Queenie's for always supporting the community. They're having a holiday party, I think tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I just saw it on the board out there that they got. So they having something.
Okay. Let me not speak prematurely. Let me get on Eventbrite. Let me get on my
Zoom.
I got to get on my Zoom.
You got to.
And yeah, I'm just trying to have a little bit of mischief.
Oh. Love a mischief.
I would love to dip my toe in a holiday cocktail.
A little hot toddy.
Ooh. I hadn't thought about a hot drink. Yo, Dee Dee got the best ideals. Man, a warm drink and then put in a warm mouth. Oh my God, I'm about to text a nigga now, right now. When we get done recording.
No, just try it out.
I might do it tonight. Quiet as skip.
Fuck around.
I want a hot toddy, hot mouth situation. Okay, all right. But back to the holidays. So yeah, right. I'm feeling good, but I'm ready to like get past all the serious adult stuff of the emails and everything, and just
the finalizing the budgets and all the things.
Oh my
for
God!
The year, just putting a bow on everything.
Everybody calling end of the year. They want to talk about something.
Yeah, before it wraps up. This episode is about community, and obviously, there's a lot of different ways we can go in this conversation.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to stick to the books that we have with us. So I have with me, and most of what I'll share is also connected to my experiences with community, but my book stack for today is I got Homegirls, which is a Black feminist anthology that was edited by Barbara Smith. I have 3/5 of a Man, which was written by Floyd McKissick, who was one of the architects of Soul City. What It Takes to Heal by Prentice Hemphill.
Okay. I have a light stack that I brought with me, but I will be referencing a couple of other books. So I have Hood Wellness, which is put together as a series of essays by different people by Jamila Gordon. And then I have The Conquest of Bread by, let me attempt it. This is a Russian name. Peter Kropotkin. It's a book that's commonly purchased or in the field of like anarchy and communism.
Okay.
But so I brought that one along to really talk about communism as the concept of communal governance. And then Hood Wellness just talks about people's different journeys through dealing with sexual assault, becoming disabled, mental health issues, housing insecurity, and how community in different ways saved people in the midst of dealing with these systemic issues or issues that can come about from the systems that we have. So, but I also reflected a lot on the parables.
Yes.
Which that was in our first episode of each season, 1 and 2. Because ultimately, our main character is someone who deeply understands and values the concept of community.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes from living in one to building one.
Mm-hmm.
And then that community turns into so much more, the concept of earthseed. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes. We love Octavia Butler over here, just so y'all know.
Real bad.
We going consistently encourage y'all to read her work. How do we want to start?
Well, getting into it, community has become like, first of all, it's always existed.
Mm-hmm.
The words always existed in,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously various forms in the language. But I feel like it's become a hot button thing more so in like online discourse and even in personal discourses where there's academic panels or different things of that sort. But community is something that is very natural to us as a species. So humans are social animals. We always roam in packs.
Mm-hmm.
So since the beginning of time, we've always sought to be in communities or pockets, tribes, clans, whatever you want to call it, because community is a part of our survival.
Right.
On our own, we are in danger.
Mm-hmm.
We are endangered. But in groups, we build strength. And so what has happened over a long course of time is that we have moved from being communal centered beings to becoming more isolated and individualistic. Now, this doesn't exist for every human across the world, but obviously we're here in America, which is a hyper consumeristic, hyper individualist, capitalist country. So once again, capitalism is the op.
Yeah.
There's a fight to maintain community in these type of societies that we've now exist in. But community isn't this like new trendy thing that is like, hey guys, we got to really focus on community. We've always been in it. So it's really about like, how do we identify, what communities we already exist in, and how can we build it?
Yeah.
How can we get back to it? Because a part of the revolution is not just what we destroy, i.e. capitalism, but what we build that's new, and then what we return to that always suited us.
Right. Yeah. And even back to what you were saying around community and communalism being natural to us. And Black Visions, which is a book that I mentioned multiple times, but it basically is a book that highlights the kind of most dominant Black ideologies of the U.S., and those being radical egalitarianism, Black nationalism, Black feminism, disillusioned liberalism, Black Marxism, and conservatism. And these things at the common denominator across all of those political ideologies is a sense of community. It's a sense of really thinking about and considering, dreaming for, visioning for the future. But also taking into account this idea of what we learn should be shared, what we do should be shared, what we consider about what's happening to us, what's happening to our people is meant to be a shared community factor. And that's why more than in a lot of spaces you'll hear Black people calling for unity. Unity in the community. Like that's
the Black community. We talk about
the Black community.
But what is that?
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about those different fields of like radical believing, like the Black community isn't quite a community because we differ. We have different approaches.
We're not a monolith. Yeah, we're not a monolith. And over time, the idea of the practices, the ideas that we generate within our community change. And they change based on the systems. Like they don't our communities aren't built just of themselves, separate from the system. Not in this country and not anymore. There may very, very well be communities that live off the grid or something like that. And the impacts of their ideologies, even of what they are doing and the practices that they evolve into, is still based on the system that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for us as a generation to really take on the responsibility of building the community.
Yeah. And it's a big task because there has been, over the past 50 and 60 years, a really a concerted effort to dismantle community.
Absolutely.
So it's not just this thing of like, here we are in 2025 and we're not good at community.
Mm-hmm.
You learn everything that we know and do as humans is by learning.
Right.
It's about being a part of a culture of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if the culture of community is being attacked, whether it's economically, politically, spiritually, socially, then we have a lot of work to do as a current generation. And I'm talking about as millennials, and God knows Gen Z and whoever is after them.
Yeah.
They have a lot of work to do to reorient ourselves with the ideal of being in community.
Right.
Because, of course, we can sit back and talk to our grandmas if we still have them. And they can talk about how they used to do all these things in community and what community meant. But they didn't have technology.
Right.
They didn't have to fight against literally this science that pushed people into isolation in one way or another.
Yeah.
So, when our grandmas were growing up, they knew the butcher. Because you literally had to go to the store and tell them what cut of meat you wanted and get the meat.
Right.
But now we don't even see the butcher. Besides at Costco, they got that big window and you can see them back there still like preparing the meats. Right. But you don't talk to them.
Right.
And now we order our food.
Right.
We Instacart our things. So we don't, those simple ways in which community would just be natural.
Yeah.
In a mass consumer society or in urban areas, it's a little bit harder to do.
Yeah.
And so we have to learn, how do we build community in an era that's so technologically driven, where isolation isn't something that people necessarily crave or want, but you find yourself just being isolated by the thing. You don't have to go, you don't have to leave, you don't have to be with people to live.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of work for our generations and future generations to try to cultivate.
Yeah. And I think I'll say this multiple times throughout this episode and probably throughout, is like part of the point of our podcast is to really bring the history into the now, and holding the history as something to be studied, but we also have to take into account the realities of now. And I hear so much of our generation and the older generations being like, these kids these days, the community these days, everything is like these days. And it's like, well, yes, we literally live in a different reality every single generation. Like our parents' generation was the ones that were, adults when the 94 crime bill, for instance, came down. And the 94 crime bill, which was signed by Bill Clinton, authored by Joe Biden, one of the authors of it, really increased this sense of criminality and policing all through at multiple levels of institutions, not even just on the streets, but also in schools and universities. The generation before ours, Gen X, they did not go to high school with cops in their schools. They didn't have school resource officers. That wasn't a reality for them to be living in.
And the school resource officer is a sheriff.
The school resource officer is a sheriff. It's a city cop, but they're also the replacement of what would have been the organizing work, the community building around the school and around not so much protecting the school, but just in the sense of knowing what's happening with the kids at the schools. And instead of our education system and the administration utilizing parents of the schools and utilizing the broader community to support the development of both the school and the students, that has been replaced with police officers. There's less nurses and less librarians than there used to be in the schools. That makes a difference in the reality of how kids are experiencing public schools. And so we can't just look at what used to be and romanticize it, because there's obviously elements of that, those skills and techniques that we use to build community that are incredibly useful, but it is not fully the reality that we live in. And so it will take an understanding of the systems that we live in and how they play a role in how we build community.
Yeah. I mean, that's spot on, because like I say, it's always like, we used to do this, we used to do that. What changed? And I think there's this big gap. And we talked about it. I don't think it was in the episode. I think it was a conversation we had. Like, we have this golden era of like civil rights movement, even though the civil rights movement was a decades long movement. But we have like the 60s and 70s where we look to these eras, and then there was something that changed.
Yeah.
Not that people stopped organizing, not that people stopped fighting, but like I say, there was mass incarceration. There was drugs put in our community.
Drugs,
there was, the war on all these different things, which was a war on economic and actual militarized war on Black and brown people. And so our community dynamics changed. I was even thinking about just as a parent, and how things are different for me now raising a child versus how I was raised.
Right.
When I was growing up, that was the golden era of kidnappings because of media. Not that maybe, I don't necessarily think that there was a significant increase in children being abducted, but that the 90s sensationalized kidnappings.
Absolutely.
And the John Benet Ramsey cases and all these things. And so it shifted how parents approach letting their children go out and play.
Yeah.
The ideal of my 7-year-old daughter going outside in the neighborhood and just playing and coming home by a certain time is wild to me.
Yeah.
And now I'm not fundamentally against it.
Yeah.
But when you sit in front of a TV for your entire childhood and watch these stories, and then our parents
all the Lifetime movies,
and you're like, my child could be that story. I could become the Lifetime movie, right?
Yeah.
And so it changes how we parent. Once again, technology playing a role, mass media playing a role in how we feel about safety in our communities.
Yeah.
And because my parents, we would walk out the door. They didn't ask where we was going. We was out.
No, I was
until
outside.
We was in.
I was outside.
And they barely came to look for us either. Like, it wasn't even like they routinely was like, hey.
Right.
We were gone, out of sight.
Yes. Yeah.
And no one came looking for us.
Yeah.
But then there's that era of like, nah, man, you can't trust people. Distrust.
Can't be going over people's house.
Bringing criminality. It's people out here kidnapping. It's sick people. It's this. It's that.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll never forget, as a child, I wasn't that young, but we got one of those flyers or alerts that pretty much a sex offender had moved within a certain radius. My parents still didn't yank me in the house. They just said, stay the fuck. You see this motherfucker, stay away from him. Don't go over there. You know the rules.
Right.
And I was still outside.
Yeah.
Now let people in the neighborhood get something like that. The children it's like Eve's Bayou. Them children are on lockdown for the summer. You are inside, you know. We have a lot of fear of the stranger, the unknown.
Yeah.
And so all of these different things, because of mass media, I think has played a significant role in it.
Yeah.
Has altered the way we approach interpersonal relationships and interacting with people.
Yeah.
You know, it shows my neighbor, the serial killer, my neighbor, the butcher.
Yeah.
And so now it's not surprising that, like, we don't talk to our neighbors, or we look at them like, what they doing over there with that, instead of just knowing them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say growing up in Philly, I grew up living in the same house my whole life. I grew up on the same block. And there were, if anybody knows Philadelphia, the blocks have a lot of houses on one street. So the block that I grew up on had maybe 40 something houses on it. And most of them are, full families, people with kids, people living with their parents, that kind of thing. A few of the houses are Section 8. A few of the houses is trap houses. A few of them is abandoned. But overwhelmingly, the block that I grew up on was Black families. Mm-hmm. And many of the kids that stayed on the block as long as I did were boys. So I would be the only girl, essentially, outside playing with a bunch of boys that I knew. And it was never anything really, but so many times over my childhood, because even though I had both my parents worked, I was always going over somebody's house after school. That my parents weren't strict like that. And my friends' families definitely were. But for the most part, it might be a couple of months that I'm going to a neighbor's house every day after school. There might be another couple of months where I'm going to another neighbor's house after school. I would say total, just like on my street growing up, I think I went to like legit like 6 or 7 houses after school at some point. And that really obviously kind of helped me to learn what it meant to, first of all, enter into other people's homes and how to act in those homes, but also that like these are really my neighbors. This is my community in a sense. And over time, obviously, we grow up, people move on, build their own families. But the essence of the block that I grew up on is no longer there. Like, some of those neighbors are still there. My godmom lives on that street. She's still there. But because of the continued divestment in that particular area of Philly, which is Southwest, and the increase of drugs, it was always something going on. Yeah. And it was always, the boys that I went to high school with was selling weed or selling pills or whatever on the block. It was always that. But it's increased. It's now like, again, the drugs that aren't helpful to the community. Mm-hmm. You get a couple crackheads, you can get them to wash your car, shovel your snow, clean your windows, do a bunch of shit and actually contribute to the community. Yeah. In a way that was affordable and accessible.
Around Christmas, crackheads were so useful. Like, my baby need a bike. They would go to another community, steal it, sell it to you.
Maybe. Hopefully they go into another community.
Hopefully. Sometimes they go in a few houses.
They go into their sister house, okay?
Yeah. And it's like, come on now. Is she going to come for this bike? Is she going to come for my baby on the bike?
Right. But, because of that, it's still a Black neighborhood. Gentrification is not the problem.
Yeah.
It's the growth and the violence on that particular street that's increased. I'm talking about 4, 5 killings.
Yeah.
Like shootings on that small street. Most of them happen in front of my godmom's house. She basically lives by herself. So it's like this sense of safety. My mom is constantly complaining about the block. Like, she has nothing good to say. And her house is paid for and all of that. So that's a big reason why she's not moving, because she's not gonna get no better deal.
No,
making what she making. But like, at the same time, I want her to live in a better community, a safer community, because she's there by herself. She's getting older, all of that. And so it is complex and complicated. And we're definitely not trying to romanticize that just being Black and living in the same area that we're all just going to get along. Like, that is not the case. It's never been the case.
No.
But I think it's still imperative that we do everything that we can to build a new sense of community that matches actually where we are now.
Yeah, and living. I mean, also the ways in which housing has changed for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in a neighborhood. I moved there when I was 1, so pretty much my entire life, and the home wasn't sold until after my father passed when I was 28 years old. So bulk of my life was in Twin Lakes neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's different when you are in a community with single family houses or townhomes or something versus apartments.
Yes.
And home ownership rates are declining just nationwide across demographics.
Yeah.
And especially within, of course, the Black community has always had challenges with home ownership due to systemic issues.
Right. Racism.
Nice way to put it, right? Systemic issue, racism.
Redlining.
And so having houses creates a different dynamic because you actually see your neighbors and you kind of get to see how they live. You see how their cars are. You see when they have cookouts. Is it quiet?
It's a sense of consistency.
Yeah. You know, they're outside washing their car. You get to have a little bit more neighborly conversation. Hey, how y'all doing? Or if they are having a birthday party in the backyard, birthday parties didn't have to be at bouncy house places, and because God knows, as a parent, my parents know we always got to go somewhere with some contraptions for the kids' birthdays. But it used to really be a lot of like backyard because you had a home, parties. You had house parties.
Exactly.
And so you got a chance to go to your neighbor's 1-year-old's birthday party, you know, because it's in the backyard. And so those dynamics change when you talk about a lot of housing now being primarily focused on apartments. Yeah. Because you see your neighbor for all of 2 seconds between them walking from their car to inside. Yeah. They're not outside. Yeah. Doing anything. You know, you might see them walking their dogs, and so you can chat with them. So the dog people in community. So I work in property management. So every community that I've ever been in management at, the dog walkers are they are the eyes and the ears of the community. They build with each other. They have Christmas gatherings with each other because they're constantly out with their dogs and they're talking to each other. Yeah. But when you're not in a community that has a lot of outside green spaces, walkable spaces, you don't communicate as much with your neighbors. Right, and of course, in apartments, there's more of a transient nature. Right. You're literally on this 1-year contract and you can renew year after year after year, versus when you purchase a home, you're a little bit more invested in the community because you actually have some type of long-term stake in it. And so it is a little bit easier, and you want to get to know people. Like, I plan on being here for my 30-year mortgage. Damn right, I want to know the people around me. Right. But if you're seeing people, the apartment across the hall has had 3 people live there since you moved in, or honestly 3 people in a year. Yeah. You're less inclined to be like, hey, neighbor, because I literally have residents that come up to me be like, I saw someone moved in across the hall. You think they're going to stay? And I'm like, girl, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. These are people's circumstances. Like, I don't know. And housing being honestly unaffordable and hard for people to hold on to homes. For sure. Whether it's through home ownership or being renters. So once again, you know, it all goes down to there are a lot of things that make community a different challenge for us in this year than it was 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago. Right.
And the problem is that, like, the lawmakers, the decision makers, the politicians that sign off on lessening the regulations around developers, housing developers, because they're not doing it to house people. They're doing it to make money. Absolutely. And housing is the market to do so. The pervasiveness, the exploitation of it, and how little politicians and decision makers care, but also understand that having a community or a city or a town of renters is detrimental to you too. Yeah. Like, having a lack of stability, whether it is through jobs or housing, is actually not helpful for everybody. Having the health instability, education instability, these things are really detrimental to everybody.
Yeah. And it makes it like you're not collecting the same level of taxes from people if they're not homeowners and stable
Right.
to be able to fund the municipalities in the
Infrastructure.
city.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to build. So, but one thing that is for sure is that with all of these challenges, there has always been, particularly for Black people and other people of color, there's always still been so much effort put forth into trying to create community against
for sure.
all odds. And it's because community is survival for us.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure if you've listened to the podcast, you have heard Dee Dee emphasize repeatedly, we cannot do things individually.
Yeah.
Like, it would be great if we could. And I mean, on some level, we can do certain things as individuals.
Right.
But we have to have a more community, collective mentality towards everything we do. So if you want to have a community garden, it has to really be about, how does it enrich and serve and bring people in the community.
Right.
And if you want to have neighborhood policing or something of that sort, how does it really serve the community? Who are you in community with to build these type of things?
Yeah.
And so it's that ongoing effort to kind of do what must be done.
Yeah. And I'm always so curious around what really does get in our way. Like, some of it we spoke to, right? There's the systemic elements of it. There's this sense of people being strangers. And coupled with that, to me, is like this sense of like, I mind my business. I stay to myself. And that being, I don't know, some level of reward for people as a means of survival. For some people, it's like, I stay to myself. I keep out of drama. I keep off the streets. I seclude myself, or I'm just specific around the type of people that I'm around, and I hold to those like boundaries. And there's some of that still could be useful to the community in different ways, depending on the instance. And so there's lots of ways that community is continuing to be built all the time. I would say that Durham is one of the cities that, as an adult, really taught me how to be a community member. Like, I feel like this is where I really, really learned. Whereas my younger years feel like more experiences that weren't really of my control. I wasn't part of deciding where to live. My parents were, but now that I am the sole decider of where I live, Durham has become the place that I've learned how to really be a community member. And I'm constantly learning, because there's ways that I'm challenged also in the community at the same time. But deciding to build community is what I decided a long time ago when I moved here. And in more ways than once, this community has shown up for me. I've shown up for them. Thinking about, and what year was this? Maybe I want to say 2017, but it was the year where Charlottesville happened.
Yeah, that was 2017.
2017. It was summer 2017. Where Charlottesville, it was a long fight that the community had been having with the mayor and the city council there. But it kind of came to a peak moment of trying to take down a Confederate monument in Charlottesville, and caused the crackers, the KKK, all of the kind of white supremacists, the Confederate supporters came out the cracks of the sewage and turned
the cracks
up.
of Crackerville.
The cracks of Crackerville. And just, turned, it was protests. They retaliated. Someone actually got ran over and died, a protester. White woman was ran over and killed during this protest.
I think her name was Heather.
Yes, it was. That was a bit of a rupture moment across the country of people deciding deciding upon themselves to take down these statues.
Yeah.
And the week following, Charlottesville and Durham, the people decided that it was time for the Confederate monument that was in downtown Durham. It was time for it to go. And I was there at this particular protest and witnessed everything that went on. Was part of the team to kind of hold the march, the whole, because it was a whole march. It wasn't just we just pulled up to the statue, folks took it down, and then we dipped. It was a whole march associated with it, and it was a galvanizing moment. There were a bunch of people out there that day, but after that, many of the people whose faces were and names were publicized as part of taking down this statue were now like facing some real safety issues. In which case, for me, that looked like for a few people that looked like their homes being raided. That looked like the sheriffs showing up to people's jobs and arresting them at work. It looked like, for me, my car was broken. Several cars were broken into that was associated with this, including mine, which I ain't had shit in that car anyway. But my car was broken into, and also like my house was being watched. Literally, one day I came home from like getting my hair done, and I see this car kind of parked across the street. Kind of, the street was perpendicular to the house the street where my house was. And this car had been sitting out there for hours and hours with someone sitting in it. Me and my housemates, we were all organizers. We started reaching out to our community and like having more and more people actually show up to our house. Firstly, we never like actually confirmed where this person was from, but it was multiple days that this car and this white man in the car was sitting watching our house. It was the community that showed up, that immediately stopped what they were doing. Students from Central that I had worked with, organizers from Song who I had worked with, showed up and were continuously at our house. We just knew we needed more eyes and ears at our home. That also included getting a security scan of our house and seeing what ways could we, where could we put cameras up if need be. Our social medias were doxed, so our address was put on some fucking website somewhere. And so we were worried about our safety, and along with the rest of the community that was kind of in a bit of a uptick already, because at that point Trump had lost the 2016.
No, he was in office. This was during his presidency.
During his presidency. Okay, he lost in 2020, right?
2020. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So this was that whole moment. It was just increased white supremacists, white vigilante.
My dad
terror.
thought he was like the Civil War about to come. I'll never forget, he was in the hospital during Charlottesville. Shortly before his transition, and he was like, it's just gonna take one bullet to set it off. He's like, they've been waiting for another Civil War for a long time. And I remember during this time, not long after he passed, I was working in downtown, and then we got word that the Klan was coming downtown. Yep. And so counter protesters, aka decent normal people, were like, well, we pulling up at the Klan, gonna be downtown, we're gonna be downtown.
Absolutely.
And my company was in panic, and they were like, close the doors, y'all evacuate.
Close the doors.
And I wasn't particularly scared, like fearful of like for my life. Yeah. Just by being downtown per se. But I just remember calling my mother. This is a woman born in 1958 who went to segregated schools. And here I am in 2017 calling my mom to say, I'm leaving work for the day because of the Klan. And I'm like, who thought I would say that like to her? Like, they're closing down my job for the Klan. Right. And it was my white coworkers who looked petrified. They were nervous as shit. And you know me, I'm delusional as fuck. Like, what the fuck they gonna do to me?
Right.
Granted, they could do a lot, but you know, I'm just like, I ain't never scared. But I had to leave, so I was like, you know, I went to lunch, I got some food, and then I like went to a friend's house. But I was like, I had to leave work because of the Klan.
Yeah.
And it was a lot going on in 2017. But my daddy was like, somebody just gotta shoot one bullet.
Yeah.
It's the Civil War.
It was a moment. But it was a moment that also reinforced for me community is safety. Like that was the reality of this. Like, yes, my family was also, you know, there and part of this whole figuring out the safety things, but also like many of the Black organizers that I had worked with in Durham that had also faced some sort of regression from white supremacists. There was also the white anarchists of this area that, like, if need be, was armed and sitting on our porch, or armed and sitting outside of different offices and organizational headquarters. So there was a collection of things. And then it was, that huge, like, random Friday at like 10-11 a.m. It was so fucking hot that day. And I remember, because I was part of the organizers that was gonna have supplies and posters and water like ready for the very organic protest that happened, just in case the Klan come. And as far as I know, they didn't come.
They didn't. Yeah,
they never made it.
No.
But there were hundreds and hundreds of people that turned
up,
waiting, that were ready.
Yeah, and that was the
absolutely
thing.
ready.
Yeah, people were ready. So
I had fun.
I can only imagine. It's a bit of a thrill.
Yeah.
And I remember, it's like, hey, I was like, I told my mom, I was like, niggas sound like they pulling up.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm seeing the that's why my job was like, it wasn't so much that the Klan, they were like, counter protesters are on the way and it's going to be a showdown. I think my company was like, if it would have been like the Klan are doing a per-minute march or something, they would have been like business as usual. But the fact that they thought it was about to be a showdown.
Yeah, of course.
That they were like, oh, it could get crazy.
Right.
You all should go home. And I'm like, you wouldn't have to tell me no way, baby. I'll walk up out of here. But
no, it was a moment. And one of the photos that we took, so there's a iconic photo of me, Aaron, my comrades Aaron and Courtney. Courtney was one of my housemates at the time, and we are posing in front of this now folded up Confederate statue, and it went viral on Twitter. It was circulated mostly through Twitter, I think, and probably Facebook as well. And Solange actually reposted our picture. So yes, I have arrived.
She knows you. She knows you.
That was a moment that I knew I had arrived. I was reposted by Solange. I've also, and then randomly I've been on Justin Timberlake's Instagram feed.
I feel like you started to tell me something about this before. I can't remember.
That was a 2020 moment. moment. But yeah, so all that to say.
Yeah, community will pull up.
Yes.
When you call. And I think what we have to figure out is how to make it sustainable. Because reciprocal because there are a lot of cases right now where people could drop a GoFundMe, they could drop a meal train if they needed it, or something happened, especially here in the Durham community, which is a big small city. Like it's numbers wise, we're a medium sized city, but it can feel very intimate and close knit in a lot of ways if you are in community with certain people,
right,
and groups and stuff. But it's about how we turn it, you know, not just when people are in need, but just how we continue to sustain it as an everyday practice of like, you got me, I got you type of thing.
Right.
So that definitely was a moment. And in Hood Wellness, I haven't read all of the essays. It's from an assortment of people. There is a section on care and activism and how, I think a couple of people write about how they were on the front lines during certain movements, and then how you go through everything. I think was it Jamila? Is somebody writes an essay about how the online community had kind of turned against her. She was being doxxed. A lot of hate pages and all these different things. Wow. The algorithm, had kind of gone against her favor, and really needing community or needing to heal from being in activism, especially when it's one thing when I'm sure when when you're on the ground and you're looking at maybe the police or other forces, the counter protesters. Mm-hmm. But it's another thing when there's an online community that's hating you, dragging you, stalking you.
Yeah.
And so that's another landscape that, we could talk about is also digital communities mm-hmm. versus in-person communities.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's I think that's really what a lot of the conversation is right now about how do we build communities? How do we build authentic digital ones, because so much of our lives is online.
Yeah.
And how we also need to pull away from feeling like we are a part of community because we are in a digital one mm-hmm. and reverting back to like in-person relationships with people. And that goes beyond just community. We just have to do a lot more things in person. I get mad when I got to go through apps and web pages to make a fucking appointment, or I can't just walk in places anymore.
Yeah.
Nothing is, and COVID, it was a big shift.
Absolutely.
And a big hit on community. Community is already fragile.
Yeah.
And then you have this global pandemic where literally it's like if you are near someone, it's the thought that they could spread you a deadly virus and you would die.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed the accessibility of people to be able to walk in, get services.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is like go online, do this, scan this QR. We'll open the door at 5 p.m. Like, right. Damn, I can't just.
No.
So there's a lot of like it is our technology and our society is more so tailored towards being online.
Being online, being isolated. It's also the drug of convenience.
Yes, God knows. I'm a DoorDasher.
The DoorDash, the GoPuff, the Amazon Prime. It's the drug of convenience, which to say, obviously there's lots of ways that this is beneficial mm-hmm. to folks, especially elderly folks that don't drive, kids.
People with disabilities.
And people with disabilities. The elderly, all of that. And just like everything else in this capitalist country, it thrives on our need for convenience.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that we're the generation where that's being innovated at top speed.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's ways that we need to just try to challenge it just as much as we can.
Yeah.
As much as we can.
Yeah. Like my experience, I would say motherhood is a way in which a lot of women become more isolated, particularly during these times. And motherhood is definitely something you should go through in community.
Yeah.
So the ways in which I've survived motherhood has been through community. 1000%. Sometimes when I say, like, because I'm a single parent, I'll, naturally out of my mouth, I'll say like, I've raised my child alone. I've done this alone. It's more so in reference to like without a father, but I've definitely not done it alone.
Right.
However, it is still a level of isolation that I have been through with motherhood and that I still continue to go through. That is a constant struggle to navigate. So my addiction to DoorDash, because convenience is an addiction. It really is. I think it's the most addictive thing in the world is convenience and comfort. My addiction to DoorDash started when I was home on maternity leave for my 7 short weeks. And I had this newborn and I had no one in the house with me to run and grab me anything.
Yeah.
And I had my baby during the fall going into winter time. And y'all know the old folks, don't be having that baby out. You can't put coats on babies in car seats. So it was like that, anxiety of like, okay, I gotta cover, I had the thing covering the car seat. And it was just a lot to even get out the house and not be stank and funky. Like a bath for me, the baby's clean, and all just to run to the grocery store.
Yeah.
So I started utilizing apps more to literally feed myself. And because I was in the home by myself, I, putting the baby down to cook, that could turn into something. So I was cooking less. I didn't want like fast food. So it was like places I would have to go into and get things. And it just was a lot with the baby. So because as much as I did have community, I had my mother, I had friends, it still wasn't, they didn't live in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
They live across town or something. So as much as I did have support, I really didn't have as much community as I probably needed as a single mother.
Mm-hmm.
For someone to just be like, I didn't have a meal train. I didn't have someone coming and sitting and taking the baby while I went and did something. Now, I could get that occasionally, but once again, we all work.
Yeah.
My family is work. My mother's not retired.
Right.
So it was ways in which I had to lean on convenience and technology in replacement of community. Whereas if I probably lived like my grandmother, my father's mother, she lived in the same small town as her mother and her sisters. And so they all had 6, 7, 8, 9 kids, and they were all together. So if you needed something, literally you go across the street,
right,
and somebody's got you. And that's different now. And then I would say for like millennial moms or millennials who become moms, not our birth rates, that would be, but birth rates are declining. Less people are entering into parenthood. And so I've got some friends that are mothers, but I have a lot of friends who aren't. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to like free time and socializing outside of work and going to third spaces to be in community, I'm having to think, is it kid friendly?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The anti-kid movement, like kids being welcomed into spaces. People really will look at you crazy if you get on a plane with a kid. Like, goddamn, how you think we're going to get to Disney World?
Right.
They
or
be
when
like
people
road
complain
tripping
about babies crying, I'm like, this is what babies do.
They are human. And it's like, get that motherfucker off the plane. It's like, I'm trying to get to my mama. I'm trying to go home for the holidays. Damn.
Yeah, people be acting up.
So, trying to find places that are kid friendly, or, when you want to hang out with your friends that don't have children, a lot of things are like bars.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of like kid friendly places, especially in Durham, where it isn't crazy to have a kid at the bar. Granted, during the daytime.
During the day.
Please don't have the babies at the bars at night. More like less of a bar, more like a brewery with some outside picnic table type of vibe, or like boxcar, kids there and stuff like that. And then a lot of my friends with kids don't live in Durham. So like my mommy gang isn't in proximity to me.
Right.
So it's like finding that balance of like, how do I still be a social creature?
Yeah.
Or I've seen community events, whether it's volunteer work, and I'm like, oh my God, I would love to do it. But I'm thinking, is a volunteer with a kid with them like helpful or a burden? Because it's like, here I am trying to serve food, and then I got the kid with me. And depending on the age, like one time when Yali was like 11 months, there was a thing in the park to feed unhoused people, and I brought her with me. But it was like a big ass stroller, and me like monitoring her while I'm like serving these plates and different things like that. So it's all of these challenges we have in like the different phases of our lives that we go through to fight to stay in community, and also using it as an opportunity. Like Yali, I could get in like there are mommy gangs online that are set up
for sure,
and then they have meetups. But I've seen some of the mommy meetups, and it's not my crowd.
Now how you going? Now you being picky.
I knew she was gonna push back on that.
Now you being picky.
Some of the mommy meetup things I've seen has been a lot of married mothers.
Yeah, true.
And there was one I see like in Tobacco Campus. Granted, I'm not a part of it, so I don't know a lot. But I swear it was all black mamas and white daddies. Nothing's wrong with that.
Disclaimer.
I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. But, sometimes you don't feel like you fit in. I have a blazing baby daddy.
It's different.
It's different. I have a totally different lifestyle. Okay, this nigga smokes Newports. No, it's different ways in which that goes back to like the digital. I love that there are online communities, but I think they're better suited when they organize people online and move them into in-person events,
right,
gatherings, versus just being solely an online community for whatever it is.
Right.
But it is work to find some.
Yeah.
And to get out of our ways. I've talked about my struggles.
She's working on it, y'all.
I am really, really working on it day and night.
Yes.
I am.
Yeah.
So, I just mentioned Hood Wellness by Jamila Gordon. And she is the founder and executive director of the Black Feminist Project. And she has an online community for it, but they have physical locations. Two of those one of them being the Black Joy Farm, and then the other is the Alice Fields Community Center. I looked at it. Alex Fields was a woman who had 7 children. She was an activist, an organizer, and she pretty much was the person who, not only did she have her 7 kids in the community, she was the mother of the community. She was the grandmother of the community. She believed in building safe spaces for women and children. And so that's who that community center was dedicated to. They have like a community closet for people to be able to come and shop from, like a community boutique. And then the Black Joy Farm is in the Bronx, and it's a community garden teaching people skills to be able to grow food and have partnerships. So when we talk about all of these challenges that we face with building community, or what's been done to destroy, I think that we also can find opportunities in, like I say, having a digital space that can have mass appeal to bring people into physical locations to do things. And I'm starting to see more of that, actually. So as much as the technology and digital world has helped fuel isolation, I think people are also now using it as a tool to fuel bringing people together and saying, like, let's have these different projects and opportunities to meet and build organizations.
Yeah. I love when there's a new project that's centered around community and gives an opportunity, and especially ones that work with kids. Like,
yes.
Again, the anti-kid movement
is deep.
It's really deep. Like, the kids are not, like, again, for instance, in Southwest where I grew up, I was an outside kid. Granted, there were a lot of inside kids too growing up, because TV and video games were evolving in those years, the 2000s, the 2010s. But, for the most part, I was outside, and we had different places that I felt like kids could congregate. Usually it's the recreation centers, the basketball courts. We had a skating rink that was in my area that was like both for the kids that lived in Southwest and West Philly. And those were kind of the two places that I felt like was for kids that we could go to during the day. We could go to at night if the skating rink was open on a weeknight, and definitely on the weekends. The movie theaters, the malls, places like that. But for a place like a city like Durham, I'm like, where do the kids go?
No, that my mom.
Where are they going? They in the house.
It was one election cycle recently, in the recent years, for the mayoral race, And she was like, I want to see whoever's running talk about what spaces are we having for children.
Yeah.
But she was like, my mother's been a part of the Durham community since she came to North Carolina Central in 1976. Mm-hmm. And she's like, it's just been, she's seen the erosion of rec centers. Yeah. And she's like, we want to talk about youth violence. What can we do? What can we do? Mm-hmm. They have nowhere to go and do extracurricular activities. Yeah. And a part of that anti-kid movement is even, I remember like malls were a thing, like for especially like that teenage. She's like, there were still parks for small children. Yeah. She's like, but there's such a block that's not being served for the children who are preteens to teenagers. Right. Where can they go?
Exactly.
Outside of school. Extracurricular events. And so like I remember being a teenager growing up here in Durham, you could get dropped off at the mall. Yeah. And you would be deep. And you would the mall on the weekends was for the teenagers essentially, and people shopping. Yeah. But then of course there are, a couple of fights, maybe a couple of gun incidents, and it turns into now the mall has strict curfews. Yep. They have strict age policies, and they were starting to go into effect towards my latter teen years. But now I remember going to South Point just maybe a year or two ago, and I saw like a group of girls. They looked 13, 14 years old, and I saw a mall security officer coming up asking them how old they were. They weren't doing anything. Yeah, they're just walking. So like, where can a 14-year-old girl or boy in Durham go?
I don't know.
Where can they go during the weekend? Because like I say, if they are a part
I guess they can go to Wheels, but that shit is far.
Wheels just reopened. Wheels was a thing when I was growing up, but once again, a couple of violent acts, things happen. It starts
lack of funding,
yeah. And because once again, all of these children who are in these communities that are deemed to be violent communities, they want to get out too, and they want to go to Wheels, and then they might see somebody that they have a rival beef with, and then it turns into, Wheels is hood now, or they fighting now, and it's like, okay, kids fight. One, that's normal. Adults too. I mean, damn.
Right.
Let niggas fight.
Right.
But obviously sometimes it gets out of hand.
Right.
And but once again, that's an opportunity for community members to be there.
Right.
Instead of police macing and beating children because they scrapping.
Right.
And so it's hard for children to be able to go and build community. So we have to seriously, like, as we talk about what we want for the future and what we want for communities, I think focusing on children, safe places for children, has to be the starting point.
I mean, we have to put the kids in the center of how we strategize and make solutions for everything. For everything.
And really,
for literally everything.
And when the kids have a place to gather and build community, naturally the parents do. Because if our kids are on a team together, or if our kids go to this resource center or rec center together, I got to come and check on them and pull up on them, and then you meet the parents. And so there have been, the majority of people, I would say in the past 7 years, who became strangers to people I actually deal with, have been because, okay, your kid and my kid play. Yeah. Let's exchange numbers. Right. And I've met wonderful people via, our kids being the center of like the interaction. Like, let's have a play date for them. And then I try to do that. I always get a membership to the museum every year, and I always get the 4-person membership. So that I'll always have 2 free passes. Right. So if I meet another mom, I'm like, come to the museum. Right. With, bring yours. I got mine.
Yeah. That's sweet. I mean, that's a kind of, future thinking. And also, it gives you an opportunity to go at the pace, that is most comfortable for you in terms of building those connections. I mean, utilizing kids, and not utilizing as in using them, but actually valuing their input about what happens in their community, is an organizing tactic as well. Bob Moses, who is one of the leaders of who was one of the leaders of SNCC in civil rights movement in the 60s, he would, when he was would be canvassing in Mississippi and Alabama, he would bring a basketball with him, and he would walk down the street bouncing a basketball. And even if nobody's outside, kids will hear a basketball.
That's the bird call. Cuckoo, cuckoo.
The kids would hear the basketball and they would come flying outside. So now he's playing basketball with the kids. The parents are wondering, where's my kids and who are they playing basketball with? They see this grown man and they're like, hey, who are you? And that's how he would get a lot of the parents on these streets, block by block, organized, involved, and active in the community. It was literally just from bouncing a basketball down the street. That's it.
Yeah. Obviously, we talked a lot about the Black Panther Party
Mm-hmm.
and how what they, are really known for, or what they really did that was so transformative, was center community in their politics. So yes, Absolutely. They were a political organization. Mm-hmm. Yes, they were at one point the Party for Self-Defense. It's the infamous pictures with them holding guns. But really what has made them as an organization stand the test of time, and why people will talk about them and continue to try to organize and build like them 100 years from now, mm-hmm. is because of what they did for community.
Yeah.
And whether it's feeding the children, you feeding the kids, the parents are going to have a level of respect for you and trust for you. Mm-hmm. The free clinics, everything about it were survival programs. And so as we deal with the current regime and everything that we're facing in a collapsing empire, our survival will be 1,000% determined on how we build communities with each other that serve to feed, to clothe, mm-hmm. to house, and to pull together resources and to organize politically. Because as you're doing these survival things, you have to have a certain politic in it as well. So what is your ideal? What do you see as like a future? Are you thinking Acorn, like Lauren, or like what's community look like in the revolution for you?
To me, I'll say this. For me, my vision of liberation mm-hmm. is permanently organized communities. And permanently organized looks a lot of different ways, obviously. And there's instances that this already exists.
Yeah.
Arguably the communities and neighborhoods and barrios in Cuba are really permanently organized. Mm-hmm. There's a way that they make decisions, that they have neighborhood councils. There is a sense of democracy on how leaders are chosen in those communities. The transparency that they have to have with the Cuban government around what's happening in their neighborhoods. So there's ways that there are permanently organized communities. And to me, that is the vision for liberation, and organized around the well-being of us, the development of us as humans, in a way that Acorn was trying to get at, of like, we actually could evolve as a species if we be in right relationship with change and be in right community with each other. And so there's some level of that I see, of how are we not just attacking problems that feel minuscule compared to the idea of making every decision with children at the core. That would require a shift in hearts and minds and behaviors.
Yeah.
And I think that it'll take a lot of hard work. Another book that I must have forgotten to bring was there's this book, The Revolution Starts at Home. And it is also kind of an anthology of instances where survivors, for the most part, survivors of sexual assault, domestic assault, are sharing their stories of how within their community they restored justice or developed some new practices around how to prevent sexual assault from happening in organizing spaces, but also organizations that focus on really trying to eradicate child sexual abuse. And those are complex issues. Those
Yeah.
are complex contradictions. Those are some. It's deep because it's, you know, based in the systems and the violence that we've been swimming in this country since it's been built. And that takes generations to get rid of, because it's always this question of, okay, once we get the black people together, the next fight is going to be with the men.
Hello.
The boys and the men.
Yeah.
Because there is this attraction to violence and hierarchy in a way that exploits women and girls.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have to really, really figure out how we move through that real sticky mud of, you know, this feeling like the you know, the systems that we live in are against us, and there's people in our own community that are also against us.
Yeah.
And we talk about some of that, and we address some of that in our argument around in the radical feminist
women
revolution
know how to build
episode.
community better. I think, in my opinion, I'm biased.
Yeah.
But I think community at the heart of it is about caring, giving a damn. And I think that in this society, the way we've been socialized, it might not be, you know, innate always, but women, marginalized people, really anybody, queer people, know how to center care because we know how essential it is for our survival against like dominant forces.
Yeah.
And so in Hood Wellness, Tales of Communal Care from People Who Drowned on Dry Land, she has a quote, and she says, "We must all divest from this white, sanitized, commodified version of wellness and find our way back to wellness that challenges systems that not only facilitate healthy environments, but also create subversive community-based spaces. Spaces that cradle us in their wombs and unlock our ability to care for ourselves." So, you know, when you talk about like women having these safe places, children having these safe places, there has to be a lot of places for healing first.
Yeah.
To be able to build community.
Yeah.
And because if we go on unhealed as individuals, it's going to be hard to be in community with people who are so broken.
Yeah.
By systems and by people who are starved in other ways, and so they become vicious and more, you know, in other manners. And as we talked about in this episode, we've had these great neighborhoods and we've had these great community centers that have been overrun by violence, overrun by individuals who don't come to those spaces to, you know, use them for what they're for and kind of bring certain issues into these safe spaces, into these communities, and you see how they deteriorate.
Yeah.
But we still have to like make it a point to focus on building them. I think I'm a person who I tend to see the silver lining or the potential in anything, typically in things that are seemingly bad. And I'm all about tear it down to build it up. So I think this moment right now where it's easy to see the destruction.
Yeah.
I think that with this authoritarian regime, I think with resources being yanked from like especially federal funding, it is going to force us, because we need force. Change is not what people naturally go into. Yeah. You know, typically we adapt and we change because of forces. Yeah. That it is forcing people to be like, I don't think the government's going to help me or help us or, help the people I care about, the communities, whether it's on racial lines or class lines. So it's kind of making people more interested in being organized.
Yeah.
Being in community, knowing people are realizing, like, if I don't find people who can hold me down, who can pull up on me when the Klan is stalking me, like if I don't have people I can call right now or be a person that someone can call upon, I won't survive where this country may be going.
Absolutely.
And so I think that actually, as the way technology, we're finding out, is not serving us as much as it was at one point. It hit its peak. Technology was doing the things for us. Now it's becoming a nuisance in a lot of ways. And I think that'll force people into being like, y'all want to meet up at the coffee shop? Like, damn, I'm about to put this computer down. Like, I want to put my phone down. People are actually becoming a bit burnt out by it. Everything has its end. Everything meets its end. And so I think more people are saying, like, at first the digital communities, the online things, the ways in which we've evolved, it felt good. I'm in my house, I'm isolated, I'm cozy, I'm comfortable. And then I think a lot of people are like, I'm losing my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And I'm actually tired of being up in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And people are now gravitating towards, like, let me join a run club. Black people are outside running. Now, granted, we always been fit.
Right.
And we the fastest runners in the world.
Period.
So running is not new, but like people are now moving towards, like, let me be a part of a club to read, a book club. People are looking to get offline. Because
going back to those third spaces that we talked about.
We gotta get the third spaces back. Because I think people have anxiety and they're just in the house and they're like, I gotta break free.
I mean, I love it. And I would love to hear too from our audience, like, what is your vision of a community? Like, what do you see? What do you visualize? What do you hear? What does it smell, sound like for your vision of community? And, really expanding that to think about the kids, the children, the families, the babies not yet born yet in your life. And what's the community that they should be growing up in? And like, what is that going to require? I mean, it's going to require some unlearning,
force,
and it's going to require some small steps. Small steps. We've talked about this before as well. Like, putting some more initiative and speaking to and knowing a little bit more about your neighbors. It's going to take knowing more about your community, taking advantage of, if you have a neighborhood council, possibly joining a meeting or two. There's usually meetings that happen that are funded and resourced by the city specifically for neighborhoods. Find out where those are and attend them so that you do know what's going on in your neighborhood, but also what are your other neighbors talking about when they talk about your neighborhood too.
And taking those online relationships, which I've seen plenty of times, not just online like groups, but meeting the person that you've connected with somehow. I've met friends via the internet, or maybe I technically met them in person.
But then you keep in touch.
We keep in touch online. And then it's like, you want to hang out this weekend? Like, you want to go to the show? And it's like, okay, now we're real life. So like pulling that. And so look, shout out to the Revolutionary Baddies. Who in our 7 months of existence have done 2 hosted in-person events. We could just be a podcast. We could just be on these mics. We could just be online saying, be in community with the Revolutionary Baddies. But we've intentionally had events to connect with people.
Absolutely.
Whether it was our big event for Black August in the Park weekend, down to our reading which was very intimate.
Yeah.
And we were able to hosted in a communal space.
Mm-hmm.
Nuestro Liberation Barrio.
Nuestro Barrio Liberation Cafe.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them.
So we were able to go into that communal space and be with people face to face. And we have a lot more planned for 2026 to
Absolutely.
actually see people face to face.
Absolutely. And we are excited to have your help in making those in-person community events happen. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/revolutionary baddies. You can become a member. I would encourage you to become a member of our Revolutionary Baddies community.
Yeah.
That is where we post our flyers for our events, our promotions for our events first. They get the first looks, especially our paid members. We have 2 different levels. We have our day ones. That's only $3 a month. Nothing. Crumbs. And we have our Revolutionary Zaddies level. That's a little 10-piece a month.
And you could be a girl or a guy zaddy.
It is for all genders.
Gender neutral. But for the men particularly, only an irresponsible man does not give women money. You have to give women money.
Right.
You'll see the clip
that's
online.
That's what the president of EFF said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
You have to give us money.
And so we want you to know that you are a part of our community. And we want to continue to get to know you all. So please drop the answers to our questions in our comment box below. You can also comment on our Instagram.
Yeah. Reach out. That's how we can build in-person community. So if you are doing community or volunteer work in the Raleigh-Durham area in North Carolina, and a partnership with the Revolutionary Baddies would make sense, whether it's to bring political and historical analysis, talk to the children, be in community with the children, cultivate new revolutionary baddies.
Yeah.
This is why it's so important to get in our comments, get in our DMs. We build a digital relationship that we will then take to an in-person thing and invite us. Invite us. We'll pull up. Come on.
We like hosting. We
like attending.
We love attending the right things for sure.
Yeah.
So consider us to be a part of your community as well. We want to thank you all for listening in to this episode, season 2, episode 6. Welcome to 2026.
We in it.
And we will see you soon. Please continue to share, like, subscribe, comment, review, all the things to our Instagram. We're on Threads. Also, all of our episodes are on YouTube and on our Patreon page. So if for those that are boycotting Apple Music and Spotify, you can find us on YouTube.
On people on YouTube.
We're going to be on YouTube. And please share with your family and friends. We want to thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.